My favorite mock drafter from the insipid galaxy / out of this planet Space Jam multi-interdimensional mock drafter. It's what's going on? What's coolin'? I hope you guys are doing amazing. I know all you science fans out there probably rolling your eyes now. What the hell is he talking about?
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Multi-dimensional Space Jam, intergalactical, whatever the heck I said. That doesn't even make sense, but it sounds pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and talk about Space Ghost, his new mock draft 3.0. I can't believe we're already getting in this deep of the process. It's flying by, man. So we got the combine almost over now. 2 free agencies just around the bend. He's going to do one after free agency as well. So I can't wait. Let's get into this mock draft, man. And starting off with a super dunk over here with Abdul Carter, the Tennessee Titans. I love how Space Ghost does all this too. He adds his little notes. He's got his projected quarterback going Aaron Rodgers as the new quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. Wow, that'd be insane. I really am wondering when the Jets are going to cut Davante Adams. There's been no word just yet, but I imagine Alan Lazard and Davante Adams are going to be gone here at some point. But the Tennessee Titans, it makes so much sense. Getting Abdul Carter, they really need a game wrecker off the edge right now. Landry and also Arden Key, not bad or anything like that. Both going in last year of those contracts. We'll talk about the stress fracture and all the implications of that. But to me, I still think Abdul Carter is worth taking at the number 1 overall pick, especially if you're not on that quarterback train. Bing, 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 bing.
I'd love to give you that.
Oh, here we go. The Cleveland Browns trading up, I imagine, for a quarterback. And it's Shedeur Sanders. Well, should I say the Raiders are trading up with the Cleveland Browns for a quarterback. So let's go back here to that. But here it is. Shedeur Sanders understands the gamble of trading up for a franchise quarterback because it's going to be a first rounder next year plus more picks. I will say it would be a big gamble. I mean, you're trading up, you're giving up draft capital, quite a bit of draft capital when we were mentioning. And Pete Carroll, it seems like throughout his career, he's tried to find guys later in drafts and been able to develop dudes and stuff like that. Like I like him as a developer of quarterbacks. So I actually, I don't know if I love trading up if you're the Vegas Raiders. I think Pete Carroll, with this roster too, they need more draft picks if nothing else. So that's why I'm a little cautious on trading up. If Shedeur falls to you, I really like that option, but trading up does mean you're giving up a lot of resources because this team, they still need offensive line help, wide receiver help. They could use a running back. They use a lot of defense, really just about anywhere. So I think that there are a lot of holes to fill here. I love Shedeur Sanders, though. I really do like him. He is my number 1 quarterback in this class and somebody that I think is going to have a very successful career in the NFL. May not be elite quarterback, but I do think he'll be a good one. And then we move on to the New York Football Giants, Travis Hunter. This is what I did in my mock draft the other day. I love it. I really do. I hope that Travis Hunter finds a good home. New York, let's bring it on here. Joe Shane, go get a quarterback, a Justin Fields in this case scenario, which I love. Oh, we also didn't talk about Najee Harris to the Raiders. I think that's a really good signing too for them. So that would fill their running back hole. However, going to the Giants here and the G-men, they get Javon Holland. Oh, I love it. Yo, if they get Javon Holland with Tyler Nubin, that would be a great 1-2 punch. I just want to mention that. And they re-signed Azeez Ojulari. I think that's a really good sign too for them. But then you get Travis Hunter. You got Justin Fields rolling in here as a quarterback. Overall, I actually kind of like this offseason for the Giants. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Justin Fields, I don't know if he's going to get us to, the Super Bowl or anything like that. But it does give you an upgrade and a serious upgrade at the quarterback position. And my advice would be focus in on the offense and the defensive line after this draft pick because you're going to need to be able to run the rock. Get some more help there to give Tyrone Tracy and Motor Singletary to be able to run quite well in this offense, though, with Travis Hunter and then also Malik Neighbors as your, Wan'Dale Robinson. Even if they don't bring back Darius Slayton, like that's a really, really good group. A young talent for Justin Fields to be the quarterback and maybe to find a new home. So I really like that. But Armin Embu here for the New England Patriots. Oh my goodness, protecting May's blind side. So shifting him over to left tackle. Not ever seen him play left tackle. I'd have to go back to his high school days to see if he does have experience there. He's got the athleticism, though. He's got the raw power. I think his arm length is good. It just comes down to some teams are going to question his size, but that's not really the issue for me. My issue is just on film. I think that he really struggled at times containing the edge. I thought he got beat with some speed, mainly because not from just straight up like foot speed, mainly because his hand usage is just not there yet. It needs time. He needs to develop there. He is a bit of a lunger too. I like him on the inside, and that's just my opinion. I do think he's being mocked a little bit too high, but the traits are there, and I totally understand that. This guy has Pro Bowl, high upside potential, all pro even potential with the right development and the right coaching. I mean, legit. So you look at the re-sign, you got Jonathan Jones. I'm always interested. Oh, a trade for Harold Landry, which would make sense, right? Titans just got Abdul Carter, so they trade Harold Landry, and then they draft Amarian Hampton in the second round by the looks of it, or third round, whenever he probably is going to be a second round player. So Herman Embu would be an interesting one there. Again, a little high for me. I'll just be honest, a little high. But anyway, they do need to improve the offensive line. It's top need. Then we go on to the Jaguars. Tetairoa McMillan. Me and Space Ghost discussed this one a lot, and I totally get this one. Like he loves adding Tetairoa McMillan with Brian Thomas into that offense, and just imagine that offensive firepower for Liam Cohen. Jacksonville, the community. Duval. Okay, I can't do the eyes, but he's so good. And I wouldn't hate it. I do think they've got other needs that they're going to have to fill, like on the defense side of the ball, cornerback, safety. I mean, you're just taking a safety here at number 5 overall. You'd have to seriously trade down at this point, which they could, right? They're in front of the Raiders, so maybe the Jets try to jump in front of them, or the Saints, etc., and then they get more draft capital to go about that. Ultimately, I really don't hate this pick. I think McMillan is worth the pick at number 5 overall. I would just prioritize either cornerback or even offensive line here at this point. Interior defensive line with a Mason Graham. I would love that too. McMillan is a tough one, man. It is such a good one. They haven't had an elite wide receiving group in a long time. Respect to the great ones. Keenan McCardell and Jimmy Smith. Whoa, yeah, that's a real salute out there. T-Mac, Brian Thomas Jr., Thunder and Lightning 2.0 for Trevor Lawrence. Oh, they also got Charvarius Ward and re-signed Andre Cisco. Okay, let's go on to the Browns here. Cam Ward falls to number 6 overall. That's right. I forgot Cam Ward was on the board here. I'm a little bit too much in the excitement. I totally forgot. But the overhaul to the quarterback room has started here in Cleveland, no matter the financial cost. Give Myles Garrett whatever he wants, but do not trade him. Force him against his will. You cannot go, Myles. We're shackling you to the field at Cleveland. Oh, man, that would be wild. But it's kind of right now. The negotiations are going to be fully on. The heat is on over there. You re-sign Elijah Moore. Okay, interesting. You got Hassan Reddick. You sign in free agency, so just in case, right? And also just why not ramp up the edge even more? You got Kirk Cousins to come in here. Cam Ward as the understudy for Kirk Cousins. Not bad. Hey, I'm cool with that. I do think Cam Ward and any of these quarterbacks would be beneficial to sit and learn. Now, I do think Shedeur Sanders is the most pro-ready. That's my opinion. But if you can allow Cam Ward to sit at least half the season behind Kirk Cousins, I think that would be a dream come true for this Cleveland Browns team, because Kirk Cousins is not going to be expensive. If they move on from him, then you can get him on a vet minimum deal. And Cam Ward at number 6, you don't have to trade. You can trade down and get Cam Ward. Like that would be, you get a first rounder next year. So if it didn't work out or whatever, if a quarterback becomes available next season too, like you're not out of the inclusion of getting that person as well. So I love it. I think Cleveland Browns in general just hit a home run in this draft. I mean, seriously, you can't do much a whole better than that, in my opinion. And then we go on to the Jets. Aaron Glenn. Who does he take in his first selection as the head coach? And Darren Muji, they go Will Johnson, the cornerback from the Wolverines, the Michigan player. Aaron Glenn knows you got to get cornerback play, and now you got cornerback play that is duo here with Will Johnson and also Sauce Gardner and Michael Carter III in the slot. They re-signed Morgan Moses. Now, I will say, I think Morgan Moses is on the way out. In terms of what he's saying right now, I don't expect him to be back, but you never do know about that. Trade for Hendon Hooker. Okay, that'd be interesting. You got Jordan Travis and Hendon Hooker. Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be terrible. But I love Jordan Travis, and Hendon Hooker is a fun one too. But yeah, we're gonna have to look at the quarterback position. I'm actually okay with it though, because at the same time, I would love to draft somebody on day 2 in this draft class. Like, go after a Jalen Milroe. Like, that's really my dream scenario for me, is a Jalen Milroe, even a Will Howard. I know he looked rough at the combine. I'm still cool with that. He might fall to day 3 now at this point. And then you can want to work it out from there. So if you wanted to go into next season with Travis Hooker and then a draft pick like a Jalen Milroe or something like that, it would be rough. It would be really rough early on. But hey, I don't expect a whole ton anyway, okay? And Will Johnson, I'm cool with this pick. I also would like Mason Graham a lot here, too. I think Mason Graham would really beef up the line some more with Quinn Williams. So if you wanted to go that route, would help the run game out quite a bit, too. But Will Johnson, I'm not going to complain too much about that. It's a good pick. And then we go on to Mason Graham here for the Carolina Panthers, a key stone for the Panthers defense line rebuild. They did re-sign Brady Christensen, which is huge. They're going to need to try to bring him back. I thought he was really good at center. I did watch some film on Christensen as well. I thought he, in general, looked really good. He's an athletic guy, and he's stronger than you think he is, especially for his size. He does a pretty good job staying low in his leverage. But Asante Samuel, good signing there. Actually, that's a nice, sneaky signing. Asante Samuel, Carolina Panthers. I like that fit. Bryce Young, of course, your quarterback. Dave Canales, year number 2. You get yourself a really good player with Mason Graham on that defensive line. That's a good one. Derek Brown and Mason Graham, I'm lighting that up all day. Then we go on to New Orleans Saints here. Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise. He's going to be the Boise duo. And we'll go ahead and build a great room, run again and again. Absolutely do that. Restructure Derek Carr. You sign Mekhi Becton. Okay, I like that one. Got to improve the trenches. And with Kellen Moore coming over here, maybe he can have a little persuasion to improve that. Which, hey, that's actually, if he does not go and re-sign with Philly, I think he ends up in New Orleans. The more I think about it, too, I could really see this pick happening. I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's definitely something I don't see very often, but I really could see that happening. Okay, let's go on to the Bears here. Emeka Egbuka. What? Oh, my gosh. Whoa. The missing Amon-Ra St. Brown element for Ben Johnson's. Very true. That's a good point. I mean, they've got good receivers. Keenan Allen, we'll see if he goes back over to L.A. this offseason. One of those teams, whether it's the Rams or the Chargers, certainly could want his services. And since he is getting a little bit older now, too. Now, is it the number one need on this offense? No. They need to improve the offensive line and the defensive line some more, in my opinion. But at the same time, if you're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown type of role, he is the legit addition for that. So you pair him up here in this wide receiver room with Dunze and then also Moore. Like, that's a great tandem of 3. Got a lot of playmakers for Caleb Williams. And you can add some guys like Kevin Zeitler in free agency would help you out on that offensive line, come in right away. They keep DeMarcus Walker, so they could definitely extend DeMarcus Walker too. Now, he is still under contract, but again, an extension. He played well this season. It's just going to depend on what Ben Johnson wants. He could play a base end. See, this is why you're my favorite intergalactical space jamming mock drafter of all. I mean, it's just so many interesting fits too that I would not even think about. But I mean, will Emeka Egbuka go that high in the actual draft? I don't know. It's like we all really don't know. But I think it's a really good fit and something to think about, at least, if nothing else. While we don't see it out there in mock drafts, you might think it's honey baloney, but actually, it's a really good fit, and it could be an option. These teams, man, they always shake us up. And then we go on to the 49ers here. Will Campbell, versatile athlete to protect Mr. Irrelevant, and guy that's, plug him into that right tackle position. He has experience going back to his high school days there. That's where he started. I'm all cool with that. He could end up being the long-term left tackle, too. This is a great pick. This is an A move. I think you go offensive line or defensive line. That's just as simple. Hey, with the trading of Deebo Samuel, would Luther Burden be interested here? And that could be an option, too, for this 49er team. Overall, really good pick. Then we go on to the Dallas Cowboys. Jahdae Barron. Oh, another interesting fit here. Okay, let me think about this one because Jahdae Barron, the Jim Thorpe winner, will be a star in Dallas. Remember, you got to think about this because they are going to be possibly losing their slot corner in Jordan Lewis. So it's something that definitely could be possible for them. And Jahdae Barron, the combine time, 4.39. I don't think anybody really expected that. So he showed he can play on the outside. Now he's an ultra versatile chess piece. And that's another thing. Like, you could move Jerron Bland in and out of the slot. Same thing with Jahdae Barron, just depending on who you're going up against, where you want to put your matches. So you could literally line these up in a lot of versatile ways. And it depends if they feel like Kalen Carson or not, how they want to do that whole situation. But from his rookie season, there's still a lot to be determined there. Whether he can step up into that third role is going to be very, very hard to say at this moment. I think this is an interesting one that he could also play safety too. So they could improve that back end. I don't hate it. It's not it's definitely something that they could do. It would upgrade their secondary, which was a problem at times this season. Now, offense, you could say, well, their defense was out there so much that it was a problem. But they could improve their secondary. So Jahdae Barron, not out of the question. They did re-sign DeMarcus Lawrence. I could see him coming back. And also they signed Rodney Stanley in free agency. Wow, that would be an interesting one too. Unbelievable. They find the money there. Oh, wow. But then you got Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Miami Dolphins. Great pick. Got to give to him more time. And that is a huge expectation going into this next season. They have to improve the trenches. Like, come on, Brian Greer, Mike McDaniel. This is the year you have to draft offensive line heavy. You got to improve it. Got to make sure that this offensive line doesn't have to throw the ball within 2 seconds every single time. I love the fact that they get the ball out quick. and they can be creative on these screens and getting into A-Chan and stuff like that. But at the same time, you got to be able to throw the ball deep. You got to have more long timing throws, 7-step drops versus better football teams. And they just haven't been able to do that. And that's been their biggest Achilles heel. So Kellen Banks, whether he plays guard, tackle, you name it, just improve their offensive line at priority. And here's a Gray Sable. Woo! And we were talking about this one. This was in like Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, I believe, or one of them, Bucky Brooks or Daniel Jeremiah, when I was doing a competition there. A utility knife, though, for the offensive line that is injured and aging, and something that he could stick in if you lose Will Fries in free agency. He's going to get some money out there. So maybe the Colts aren't willing to pay him. And that way you get Gray Sable, who could stick at right guard and even be a swing tackle for them. Depending on Gonzalez, if he wants to, I think he ends up being the right tackle of the future. But you got Braden Smith, who's been a little banged up there at right tackle. Ultimately, though, improving those trenches, he fits right into like a glove for that Indianapolis Colts offensive line. And Chris Ballard does a good job at replacing offensive linemen and finding some more offensive line talent when he can. And I don't mind it. Now, in this case, he does say he signs Will Fries. So, I mean, Zabel, I guess, could also compete there with Tanner Bortolini at center, even though I think Bortolini is going to be the center of the future. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, if you re-sign Will Fries, I don't know if this is a huge need, like a first-round situation. Maybe you move him over to tackle, though, and you at least compete with Gonzalez. And then you got Christian Fulton, who they signed in free agency to help the secondary. Very interesting draft there for the Indianapolis Colts. And then we go on to the Atlanta Falcons at number 15 overall, Elite Speed Predator. Oh, the Predator.
Get to the chopper!
Sure, you want to hear more of that in Atlanta right now for opposing offensive lines because they need more pass rush. This would be the dream. Like if James Pierce Jr. falls to 15, you're running, you're grabbing James Pierce Jr. and you're helping him up to the podium. Like you're running up there with him. He probably beat you up there. Anyway, make sure you get your hoodie out there, forget your t-shirt in the hotel, and you'll be good to go. Okay, let's re-sign Drew Dahlman, which would be helpful, right? He's going to be a little expensive, so it's going to be determinant on price there. You got Grady Jarrett on a restructure, and then you got Jair Alexander they trade for. Oh man, Jair Alexander and this defense. Okay, I'm ready. I'm vibing with that one. But James Pierce Jr. would be the final piece. That's a great defense. You got yourself a Super Bowl type roster if Michael Penix takes a jump. John Campbell. I love John Campbell so much, and I'm glad you got him here at number 16. I'm a huge Jahad Campbell fan. I would take him over Jalen Walker. I think Jahad Campbell is a better, like a floor prospect than Jalen Walker. Like Walker is more of a pass rusher only in my eyes that can like do spot drops and things like that, and you can use him in coverage. It's just his coverage instincts are very raw at this moment. So whether or not he can be developed is going to be unknown for me. Jahad Campbell, I've seen it. Like this guy has made plays in coverage over and over and over again. He has the instincts. He's not perfect, okay? He's not always, consistent. But as a young player, like he's going to get better. And I could see this guy developing into a Fred Warner type. I could also see him developing into a really good pass rushing Frankie Louvu type too. So there's a lot there. I mean, he's got bigger size than Louvu. Anyway, I'm just, in general, like a term-wise, like this guy has the legit upside to be a pass rushing specialist and then also an off-the-ball linebacker. And for the Cardinals, they could use a little bit of both, and they do use a little bit of both because of the way that they play their defense with Mack Wilson, who plays that hybrid role. So he could certainly fit into that. He could play a little bit off-the-ball linebacker if Kazir White is not back either. So it's a really good a green dot captain here for a developing defense. They also re-signed Will Hernandez and signed Osa Adigazua on that defensive line. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. And then we got to the Bengals. They go get Mikael Williams, the edge rusher from Georgia. So they go get another edge guy there to pair with Trey Hendrickson. Hopefully they pay Trey Hendrickson, right? Come on, get that deal done, Mike Brown and also Duke Tobin. But Joe Burrow, obviously the quarterback. T. Higgins re-signed. That's helpful. Jedrick Wills. Okay, interesting. They sign him out there. Maybe you move him inside the guard or at least compete there. It's just depending. Orlando Brown's still under contract. You got Amarius Mims. But you can move Jedrick Wills inside. It might even be beneficial for him because he does lose to the edge. So that could be something they really could try a little developing of. Maybe they've seen the whole Mekhi Becton scenario. I mean, they're different players, but maybe try that out there. Same draft. So anyway, Mikael Williams, they can use more pass rush, especially if Trey Hendrickson's not happy. If they're not going to pay him, which, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Then we go on to the Seattle Seahawks. Josh Conley Jr. I'm really high on Josh Conley Jr. I think he is a phenomenal player. Seattle born and raised too, so keep him close to home, and you put him on the inside. In this case scenario, you could also put him over at right tackle and figure something out with Abe Lucas. I don't think he moves inside the guard. I don't know. That'd be an interesting scenario, wouldn't it? But Connolly Jr., he could move inside the guard too. Like some people are going to view him as a guard. I personally like him as a tackle. However, I don't think he's limited. I think he could play guard. Just improve your offensive line. Like that's the thing. This team has to improve the offensive line this offseason. I love Josh Connolly Jr. I think he's a top 15 player in the draft class. Okay, here's that man, Jalen Walker. And at this point in the draft, I'm cool with it because the traits are first round. I'm not going to deny that. The traits are even top 10 level. He has the elite athletic profile. It just comes down to the film to me is more second, third round. But for the Bucs, this makes a lot of sense. You're getting a guy that can rush the passer. He can also drop back into coverage and help out that linebacking core a little bit too. And depending on, how Todd Bowles wants to influence it, because Todd Bowles is going to use him as an AAB gap blitzer. Like he's really going to do that. So when he's playing off the ball linebacker, Todd Bowles is going to send Jalen Walker all day. So I think it's a really good scheme fit. And I could really see them going after a Jalen Walker type. It would make a lot of sense because it would help them out as their pass rush. And then they also signed Talanoa Hufanga. That's a great one. Hufanga. It's great to see Chris Godwin's back too. On to the Denver Broncos, and they're going to go Tyler Warren, the ultimate joker.
Let's put a smile on that face.
And I'm not laughing either. Like it's going to be scary for the AFC West to have to deal with Tyler Warren and his physicality, his jack of all trades ability. The dude is just an unbelievable playmaker. I don't care whatever you want to put a label on him. It's not a tight end. Like what he brings to the table is just so valuable. I really like Tyler Warren for the Broncos here. They need a force there over the middle of the field like a Tyler Warren. It'd be a great addition for Sean Payton. Like legit. Going to be Jimmy Graham 2.0. He made this right before the Deebo Samuel thing, so I want to give him a little bit of flack for this. Now, he called it, Deebo Samuel getting traded, so I do have to applaud him there. He went to the Commanders, obviously, but once again, this was done right before that. He's been working on this, so I'm not going to give him flack for that. He was working real hard on getting this thing together. But the pick itself was an A-plus, dream come true, in my opinion. And then we go on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cam Hayward's apprentice. Okay. And he's going to be hired, that's for sure. But Kenneth Grant, he is going to be a great addition for the Steelers team because that allows you to move Keanu Benton more into a rush role rather than having to play up the nose so much. So this would be a really good pick for this Pittsburgh Steelers defense line. It allows Cam Hayward to not have to be worked so strong either at the point of attack. He'll get more one-on-ones because Kenneth Grant's going to eat up blocks. Great pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Adding more defensive firepower, youth to that defensive line because Larry Ogunjobi probably on the way out here very, very soon. Grant, Benton, and Hayward. That's an elite duo. They also signed Byron Murphy. Okay, I like that signing too. And then we go on to the Chargers. The Bolts, they go get Colston Loveland, the two tight ends coming off the board here. And you get a weapon for Herbert, one of Harbaugh's guys as the Wolverine coming right on over here. You got to go ahead and improve that tight end room. Will Dissly, the drops need to have a reliable weapon for Justin Herbert. Great move. And they also re-sign Poona Ford and get Darius Slayton too on the outside. So I think that's a good one. I think that's a solid move. Darius Slayton's a little underrated out there in general. Just needs a good quarterback play. He makes plays down the field consistently. So I like that signing. And he probably won't break the bank either. And then you go on to Shamar Stewart, the freak athlete. Just the tape is very raw, and I don't think he is there as a pass rusher. But Brian Gutekunst is just saying to himself, oh, I love those guys. He sees Rashawn Gary even higher upside than that. And he's going to lead licking his chops at another guy that he can develop, a combine king, needs his abilities to translate into NFL production. I definitely agree with that. But he is certainly going to add more fuel to their pass rush on that defense line, which has definitely been a bit of an issue for them this season. Very inconsistent, I'll say that. But they re-signed Josh Myers, and they also get Amari Cooper. Okay, so help out their wide receiver room. I don't mind that signing. I really don't. Shouldn't be. We'll see how expensive he is. But, yeah, if they're probably not going to draft a wide receiver in the first round anyway, but Matthew Golden could be another target if they wanted to do that. On to Tyler Booker here and the Minnesota Vikings. Skull, skull, skull. The skull chant of the day comes out. This is a good pick. Tyler Booker, they need improvement on that interior of the offensive line. Even if they re-sign Dalton Risner, they have to improve the interior. It was such a problem. I know people are going to blame Sam Darnold, but just look at that offensive line. It was getting collapsed over and over again. Sam Darnold was getting crushed. So they got to improve the offensive line and specifically the interior. Getting healthy, getting Darisaw back will just be instrumental in its own right. But yeah, they got to improve that interior offensive line, and Booker would go a strong way to doing that. Yeah, I'm sorry. They also get Tevin Jenkins. Oh, let's go. That would finally improve their offensive line once and for all, in my opinion. And then we go on to Matthew Golden, and this is a great pick here for the Houston Texans. You talk about a Stephon Diggs type of replacement here. If you don't re-sign Stephon Diggs, well, here you go. Even if you re-sign him, like draft Matthew Golden. They've had, obviously, Tank Dell is going to be out for the majority of the season, unfortunately. So if you get Matthew Golden in here into this wide receiving room, even if you re-sign Diggs, that would be Diggs, Golden, and also Collins. Heck yeah, I'm all day for that. And that was a big problem for this team. They had dealt a lot of injuries at the receiver position. And I know the offensive line gets blamed, but CJ Stroud had to hold on to the ball quite extra time because they just didn't have many playmakers open. That's really what it is. I mean, I love Robert Woods and whatnot. He just doesn't quite have the separation ability that he once did. So teams were lining up playing, hey, we'll play man coverage. We'll go against you. You can't play a whole ton of man coverage against Matthew Golden, Nico Collins, and Stephon Diggs when they're all out there. And Tank Dell, of course, if he's healthy and whatnot. They also get Dan Moore in free agency to help out their offensive line, give him some help there. And you got Luther Burden III. This would be a Sean McVay move right here if I ever did see one. If he falls to 26, I actually could see this happening in 100%. This is one that I think you're spot on here, Space Ghost. You're filling out the wide receiver room for the future. And in this case scenario, they sign Justin Reed and they also sign Dre Greenlaw in free agency. Okay, that's steal Dre Greenlaw over from the 49ers to get Justin Reed from the Chiefs. Not bad at all. I think that's a good haul for them. They do have a lot of safety depth, I will say that. But hey, Reed would definitely add another playmaker in the back end there. But Luther Burden, they do need wide receiver help. That's another thing for this team. And Cooper Kupp out the door now. Could certainly be looking in Demarcus Robinson. I don't expect him to be super expensive, but no matter what, like they still need to add more additions with Puka Nacua, and Luther Burden fits the bill to a T. Tutu Atwell could be gone as well. And then you got to the Baltimore Ravens here, and they go with Ariante Ursary, a second Golden Gopher opening up running lanes for Derrick Henry. Yeah, let's go. They got to improve that offensive line some more. So you get Daniel Falele and Ariante Ursary, the two mountains there. Oh, actually, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Daniel Falele is from Minnesota, but yeah, you get Ariante Ursary on that offensive line. Whether he's a tackle or a guard, I actually like him as a guard. So even if they re-sign Ronnie Stanley, I'd put him in at the left guard position. And Voorhees, I'm not kicking him to the curb or nothing like that, but he'll compete and be a starting. Could end up being good depth for them and great depth for them if nothing else. But Ariante Ursary is going to be such a mugger there as a run blocker for them on that interior and also protect Lamar Jackson on the front. So they also signed Cam Robinson in this case. Remember, he had Ronnie Stanley signing elsewhere. So in this case scenario, to the Dallas Cowboys, actually, two of all places, that'd be really wild. But they get Cam Robinson to be the left tackle there. I imagine Ariante Ursary would be the future left tackle in this scenario. And then we go on to the Detroit Lions. They get Darius Alexander. Oh my goodness, let's go. So Levi Onwuzurike, I imagine, would leave in free agency in this scenario. You replace him with Darius Alexander, who is a really good athlete, great size as well. I mean, he's almost 6'4", 313 pounds or whatever, and he ran a 4.8 something. I mean, really good numbers across the board. He's got good vertical ability. Like, the guy is an explosive dude. He is like a running back with the ball in his hands. He legit is a really good athlete. He's going to be like a Braden Fisk type of player, I think, impact for this Detroit Lions team. Building that front up some more with Aleem McNeil injury. They're going to have to make sure that they have somebody early on ready to go. Darius Alexander certainly can fit right into that next to DJ Reader. Like it. I really do. I mean, grown man strength. He'll add another beast onto that front. And then you got Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio State, the Ohio State University. Protect Jaden Daniels at all costs. I love this move. You can move Brandon Coleman inside to guard. You just got Deebo Samuel. They also signed Josh Sweat. In this case scenario, you re-signed Jeremy Chin. Yes. Great offseason start for the Commanders. That's an A+ offseason start. And then we go on to Malachi Starks here for the Buffalo Bills. I could even see this one being Nick Emmanwori here too for them. But Malachi Starks is kind of what they need, like a guy that has that roaming ability, free safety. But I know his numbers weren't great. He's going to probably end up falling to the second round now, and somebody's going to get a great steal on Malachi Starks. But they certainly need to continue to build the safety room, whether it's a free agent, whether it's a draft pick. They have to continue to add to the secondary. It's been a bit of a problem for them. I think pass rush and secondary are big needs for this team now. In this case, he signs DJ Reed. So he fills that void at the cornerback position. You go get Malachi Starks there. So it's one of the combination of the two, in my opinion. And they also re-signed Matt Collins in this. Okay, good depth there. Matt Collins was pretty solid. I mean, he was their best red zone threat. And they got Mike Green to the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, wow. I've not seen that one, at least in a minute, at least since earlier on in the draft cycle. But with some of the off-the-field possibility things that we're seeing with Mike Green, I'm not taking too much into that. But at an electric talent, they still need more pass rush there. Like Mike Dana had a bit of a down year. Karlaftis was good. And I will say Felix Anudike-Uzomah was better as the season went along. I think that Charles Omenihu, if you bring him back, he is a good pass rusher when healthy. But once again, like, they still need more juice besides Chris Jones. Like, you can build the defense line around Chris Jones, but it would be nice if you had a really good, another edge rusher besides George Karlaftis in the room. So I think it's a good pick for them, as long as you figure out that tackle position in free agency. Now, he also has them signing Khalil Mack. Oh my goodness. Wow. He's just going at it with their defensive line, which I don't have a problem with. They definitely could improve it. And you got Nick Bolton re-signed as well. Just got to improve that level. You got to figure that left tackle position. That's the only question here, is make sure you sign somebody. Final pick of the draft, it's Walter Nolan for the Philadelphia Eagles. Makes a lot of sense. Howie Roseman continuing to beef up the defensive line here. Nolan's going to come right in there and be a great rotational guy with Moro Ojomo. So that's kind of be your rotation. Obviously, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are going to be your main two guys there. But Moro Ojomo, Walter Nolan gives you more depth too, because if nothing else, they need more depth on that defensive line. They were able to stay relatively healthy, but if injuries start arising, they're going to need depth on that. And I think Howie Roseman's going to address that, whether it's a first-round pick or a day 2 pick. I very much see him bolstering up that defensive line, even if Milton Williams is not even if he is re-signed, should I say. But they re-signed Zach Bond is an absolute priority. I mean, he is just, whew. And then you got Malcolm Kuntz too, so adding more pass rush upside there with Malcolm Kuntz. I like that. I think it's a really good draft there. And here are the final results, so you can take a look and recap everything up. I'll even zoom in a little bit for you guys so you can see that in there. But hey, I want to give Space Ghost a huge shout here. I mean, I love his mock drafts. Yes, he does unique stuff, and he always is looking at different possibilities, because at the end of the day, you're seeing a mock draft over and over and over again. Like my mock drafts, I'll be honest, some of them, the picks are over and over and over again. I got to get more creative. And it's good that you see a lot of these landing spots, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen in the actual draft. And you're going to see some unique landing spots. Teams are going to fall in love with guys that fit their schemes. And this is kind of what's tailored to that. He really looks at player by player more than position and things like that. So I more look at it from a positional standpoint and what teams are looking at and trying to find fits too. But I think Space does a really, really good job of finding players that fit a specific role on teams, rather than what exactly positions they have to go after and stuff like that. So, and he still does that, but really love it. Space Ghost, huge shout out to you for the work you do throughout the entire draft, man. I love you, what you bring to the table. You're dope, fire, bringing it up. Space Ghost. Hope you guys have a really good day. Let me know what you think, agree or disagree, and I will talk to you later. I got a 4-round mock draft coming tomorrow. Let's get it, man.